All right, so I'll keep letting people in as we go, but we'll get started. I'm gonna start the recording.
Great.
All right, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Axie, Oasis and the Elite Breeders Club. Tonight, we're holding a seminar. We're gonna be talking with Wade, better known as Axie Oasis. You've seen him on YouTube, a rising star, and a fantastic Axie Infinity content creator. And tonight we're going to talk a lot about the arena and builds for the arena, how Axie Oasis is looking, looks at putting his builds together, kind of his theory crafting. Hear a little bit about about himself, and then we'll get into talking about I think some specific builds and really what goes into the thought process of how you put that team together. So to kick us off, Wade, why don't you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, your Axie history, and then we can jump into it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, DJ. Yeah, I am pretty new to the entire content creating space, but been playing Axie for probably about 4 or 5 months now. Really fell in love with the game. I basically had some downtime in between jobs in my professional career. Have basically followed the overall space, play to earn space, cryptocurrency space for a couple of years now, and I stumbled across the game through listening to a couple of podcasts on industry speak, and it was fascinating to me from day one. I'm a pretty competitive person, and once I got into it and discovered it, I kind of just fell in love with everything about it. It's a really cool strategy game. You have the ability to breed and create NFTs, which you then use inside an ecosystem, which rewards you in cryptocurrency. You have abilities to mix traits, come up with 3 different Axies, come up with a new team, new builds, all these different things. And my mind just was spinning. Took me a while to pull the trigger and get into anything. I spent a lot of time looking for videos, and you just assume when you go to YouTube, like how to blank or what is blank, and you just assume that you're going to be able to figure it out. And I didn't see that many. And obviously Elijah, super big. Most of what I have learned has really been from him. Obviously, he's featured Indez on his channel. I have, watched Indez talk with Z on his channel, and his monthly, or excuse me, his weekly Twitch stream and talks. And I just, immersed myself in the overall content that was out there. Learned a ton. And as I started playing, I towards the end of whatever it was, season 17, off season before then, I hit 86 rank at some point, and I was playing a lot and just realized I'm like, hey, like I think I actually somewhat know what I'm doing here. and it was just from trial and error and discovery and losing to people and digging into the battle log and trying their stuff and buying it and being like, wow, this is great, or wow, this is terrible. And that's kind of how I've come through it, but learned a lot from a lot of people out there. And then as I started, I just wanted to get more and more involved with the game. And that has led me into touching everything from just playing PvP, because that's what I love, to, oh my God, I got to get into breeding because I really want to start scholarship accounts, because I really want to be involved in everything. And well, if I really want high quality scholars, like, why the hell is anyone going to trust me? Like, I got to be, I got to be out here, and I got to be showing like, hey, like I'd like to think a good person, and working on, getting better and putting out good content and helping people. And hopefully by me doing that, that inspires other people to want to work with me. So that's how I got into, starting my own channel and going down from, 0 to, I think I'm at like 400 subs now. Whoever is on here who's subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. It's been awesome doing this, going from zero experience, doing everything from uploading to YouTube and video editing and all of that to where we are now with a couple hundred people subscribed there in the Discord. It's just an awesome community. And it's basically just confirmed what I like the most about the game. But that's a little bit of background on me, on how I found the game, how I got to be here. And yeah, I'm happy to touch on anything that you want me to talk about, or whatever anybody's got questions on, whatever you, however we want to go about the.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a great background, and I think anybody who's trolled through YouTube videos for a game that's that's rising as fast as it is, there's some okay content out there, but you would think that there would be potentially even more, and I think there's definitely room for particularly people who will take some more time to explain things in a little more detail, and I guess a little slower. And but what I mean by that is just to go through, really go through the particulars. I've found in a lot of the videos that people just sort of fly through, like this build is this and this, and sort of just expect everybody's sort of up to the same speed on that, and there's not a lot of talk about sort of why those builds are being put together the way they are, and maybe some of the different ways to play them. So it feels like there's a good opportunity for more of that content. So just before we jump into it, we're going to run about half an hour here, and we're going to talk about arena builds, and then we'll be jumping over to the Elite Breeders Club Discord for some Q&A with the members, and we'll give everybody who's a member the direction on what we're going to do over there. So to jump into it, season 18. What have you seen so far, kind of in the different MMR ranges? What are the things you're facing, and what are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I listened to your seminar last week with Sora, and I think you broke it down really well, really early on. I actually did not know where I was going to start MMR wise. So when I reloaded it up and started back at 1200 is where my floor was. I don't know how it works for everyone if they're brand new to the game, but starting at 1200, you start to see pretty much everything from, really impure teams, kind of mishmash of random floor axes, etc., up to, I would say, 1500, 1600, maybe a little bit less. You have the really good, like pure, starts to be where you start to see like pure breeds of, hey, this is like some decent thought process behind, a pure breed Axie team. And what I mean by that is, a true plant, 6/6 plant, a true 6/6 Aqua, true 6/6 bird in the back, or 6/6 beast in the middle, 6/6 bird in the back, whatever it is, where you have a good pure standard setup of that, plant beast bird, plant double aquas, all very common. And I think that's common up even higher, 15 to, I don't know how else to really bracket it, but you definitely see a ton of Terminators in there. I put out a huge video on Terminators, on how to counter them and my thoughts around those. I think it's a great build. It's tough. It's so good that, I feel bad playing with it. It doesn't seem that, it's like one of those things. It's like, yeah, like if I did this, like, I think I could grind and do higher, like get higher, probably faster. And, if you're out there trying to, grind SLP and, just beat people, I would highly recommend that. But if you're trying to be an elite player, I mean, I've been playing most recently, I've been playing with a Biden's Koi in my backliner, and I feel super confident, like just stepping up to like that game. I'm like, cool, if I get to this one-on-one, like I should win. And that comes with reps and being confident in, playing repetitions, not reptiles, repetitions of playing the game. But yeah, I'd say that that's pretty standard. And then really, really high, I've basically only been up to like 2000 is where I'm at right now. I was on vacay last week, got a little sunburn for anyone who wants to laugh at me there. And I basically have not gotten quite into it, but you hear a lot of people talking about the poison, the grass snakes. And it's I'm not surprised. You see these, toothless backdoor poison, do some damage, backdoor garish, do damage, and kind of have like a slow bleed coming through on your backliner. Well, you kind of just pick people off that way. Not surprised to hear that that's in the top of the meta, but definitely what I've heard. And then I'm happy to just kind of talk a little bit how I think about builds. I think was the second part of the question.
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you, when you put a team together, what are you thinking about? What are you looking at?
Yeah. So the big one that I've always highlighted, it was the video that I put out, which was on my double rep build. And I stole a little bit from Elijah because it's basically exactly his reptile. But how I thought about that really led me to some other cards and thinking about things that I hadn't seen that often. I mean, it's pretty easy to go out and just be like, hey, like double Aqua is going to be really good, or this is going to happen, and here's why. And you just see, the gameplay play out. But I basically said, when I started looking for some of these Axies, which is why I think a lot of this stuff gets mispriced, is because you have to really think about the unit, like the way that the utility of all these cards are going to be working together. So, my my plant tank that I found he's 32 speed, and he has pliers on the horn, bone sail on the tail, carrot, and then Sirius. So pretty standard for a tank, and it's probably not that unique to have bug or beast damage. But I found that my trade-off looking at bone sail as a card, I think is phenomenal. Like, I think if anyone's seen my videos or not, you have a huge trade-off there where I just think there's people overvalue shield on tanks, in my opinion, where you're not getting enough damage out of them. And again, it depends totally how you play. But for me, I basically was saying I wanted a little bit of trade-off on I'm willing to take less shield to get higher damage. And then I still wanted the bug and beast damage. So I found some with pliers, I found bone sail, how all those things kind of work together. And that was, the thing I was focused on. I was focused on how do I get good damage and good shield on my tank. And I looked through all of the good bug and beast horns, filtered all those, and then I started filtering down high shield back cards. And I was like, yeah, everyone knows pumpkin, everyone knows watering can, everyone knows all the standard, what you see on those, like I said, 6/6 pures. And then I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I haven't really seen bone sail that much. And I was like, that's 80 shield plus 80 attack. And I also get a card draw if my shield breaks. And if I have a tank, everyone's trying to kill my tank anyway. So I looked at that and I was like, that seems like a lot of utility, and you can probably find some stuff that takes that into account. So, whatever you're thinking about doing and however you're thinking about making a build, like that's a big one. And when I went through my midliner, it was basically the same thing. I'm like, okay, I really want some energy gain. I want some energy ability on my midline. And everyone uses Nemo. I definitely looked at Nemo and I ended up with a Nemo card, but you have things like Rice, and you have Cottontail, and you have, you need a team really for it to be effective, but like antennas, but you just have to think about all what you're trying to do. And for me, I was like, I need some energy on my midliner and filtering that way. And yeah, that just led me to another one of the Axies that I picked up, which is energy gain with bug and beast damage in the midliner, high shield to Stonewall. I ended up with bone sail on my midliner as well. and then some utility. I have chomp, and what I mean by utility is doing something that throws your opponent off their plan. Someone has a plan. I go in, I have a plan when I'm playing someone. Someone's got a plan when they're playing me. But how do I throw them off? Am I gonna be faster than them next round? You know, am I gonna use a goldfish or a koi? Am I gonna be faster? Am I gonna use a snail shell? Are they gonna attack into me and misplay? Am I gonna play yam on my front? Like, are they gonna attack into this? Maybe they don't want that. If they get poison ticks, are they gonna be more vulnerable to things like thorny or other stuff that are coming through on the back? All those kind of next level thoughts that you're whoever you're playing against might have. That's what I consider like a utility card. So, you know, if you have chomp and you go before someone, which is to me super valuable, you play the game with your opponent of, are they going to stun me? Are they going to stun me before this? Do I lead with my, my zero cost, or do I lead with something else? And that's, I think that creates misplays, and that creates real opportunities to, beat opponents, which is why I like having some sort of utility that comes in with, tri-spikes, with a reptile that comes in with perch, which I played in, I showed in my double aqua video. So, there's lots of different ways to find some kind of card or card combo. Cute bunny, another great example. If you have a really fast card that's got cute bunny, like, am I gonna attack into this person, and then am I gonna be feared, or my first attack's gonna be null and void? So I would highly encourage people to think about those utility cards and how they work together. I think some of those cards are good examples, maybe not in a specific build right now for me to, walk through in the next, 10 minutes or so. But I would think that thought process is, just how I think about, a lot of the steps when it comes to building a team, picking Axies, etc. I think that's kind of how I think about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. When you're looking for new stuff, trying to find, things that are interesting off meta or get ideas, are you focusing on cards, or are you filtering on stats, and then kind of, backing into the cards from the stats that you're finding?
That's a super intelligent question, because it's a little bit of both. I mean, some builds, the four cards, the way they work together is obviously huge, but for other things, definitely figuring out, for me, a big one is obviously my speed and where I'm going in relation to. I kind of use beasts as a baseline for myself, where I just want to know, where am I going to go relative to a beast? They're usually high damage. I'm usually playing with reptiles. Beasts are always going to be difficult for me. So I always have been measuring myself on that. So definitely sometimes when I'm looking at Axies, I want to know where I'm going to go in relation, understanding where I'm going to go in relation to speed ups, speed downs as well. So, if I have my Biden's koi, I think it's 54 speed, I believe it is. And knowing, where I am in relation to one speed up versus two speed ups when I'm playing other people, also super important. But yeah, I think definitely sometimes with stats, but I think that I probably look for card combos more. And a lot of it's just arena, like seeing what people are doing. And I've discovered a ton of stuff that way, where you look at things where you're like, wow, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And I remember in my first, probably before season 17, where people were using plant tanks in the back line, and I was like, this is really dumb. I'd run into it every once in a while, and I faced him a couple times, and I was like, damn, like I can't beat this thing with an Aqua backliner. They're going to be able to disable my mouth card, and with like a hot butt in the back, and over a couple turns. You've got a heal, a hot butt, a stun, and like an energy gain or something like that on on the on the on the Axie. And I was like, wow, like you could just try to outlast people. Like that's a strategy. Like I would have never thought about that. You know, my backliner, it's like, oh, this is your closer, and this is high damage, and this is high throttle, be speed, be whatever. And I played a couple where it was like, we're going to sit back and, you know, you're going to attack into us and you're just never going to be able to kill us. And we're going to burn your energy and negate your cards. And we're going to just outlast you. And it doesn't really matter how you win the game, right? You know, there's no,
Right.
you know, it doesn't matter how you do it. So for me, like, rather than getting frustrated and being like, oh, this is like so stupid, and like, well, you know, this is a really dumb thing, like, I sat back and thought about it. I was like, wow, like, is outlasting people and just making it through the end of Blood Moon, like, is that a way to win a game? And yeah, and I've seen a ton more this season of that stuff. You have the, you know, these disabled cards with like, you have like the Kestrel Hot Butt, Green Thorns. I don't know if it's Chomp on the mouth. But you basically have this combo where you are getting disable 2 of the 4 opponent's cards, put up shields, get a bonus of shield from Green Thorns, 0 cost. So for like 2 energy, you're putting up like, I think it's like 180, 190 shield, and you're disabling 2 cards if you're using Kestrel and Hot Butt. And then if you add a stun on that with Chomp as well, I mean, it's pretty crazy. And it's just really cool to see how people are playing the game and how to outlast different people. So for me, like, that was watching other people and thinking about it and going back and reviewing stuff was almost as beneficial as playing. Because I know that, you know, there's plenty of times you're just grinding and you're like, I want to play games and I want to earn SLP and I want to do this and I want to do that. I just want to keep go. But I think being more methodical about it and saying, what did I just play? Okay, I just played these 3 Axies. Like, did I play poorly? Did he outplay me? Did I have a terrible card draw? Or is this just a better team that just beat me? And thinking about how it counters your team and how it does that. And, you know, in season 18, I've been tracking my win-losses. I started really like writing down exactly what I lost to, but that spreadsheet's kind of gotten a little messier, but I still have my win-loss rate. I started it because I really wanted to figure out exactly where the SLP brackets were, but community obviously beat me to that one.
Yeah, they're good for that. Do you go back and review? I think you mentioned it, but I wasn't. You went by it pretty quickly. Do you go back and review matches that you've played as a way to learn?
Oh, a ton. Yeah, a lot. And that sounds like, trust me, that sounds insanely nerdy, right? Like, it's like I played a game.
But that's what pro players do. So yeah, maybe.
Like,
but that's,
it's like I just played a game. I'm going to go back and like look at this. And but yeah, I do. I go back and I think about it, and I was like, what could I have done better? Did I really need my card? You know, a lot of the times, like for me, like I'm running like a double Aqua build with some beast damage and just my midliner. So I've definitely seen some games where I'm like, if I don't get my pliers or my heavy beast damage on my midliner and I'm just drawing aqua cards, like I'm usually sitting on that for too long. Like I need to start trying to get through the tank, because if I don't do that, then I'm going to get people, you know, blowing through me. So I can see myself saying like, okay, Wade, this was some solid, this is some solid logic, but you can't be, if you're not getting the draws that you want, you gotta eventually get to a point that you want to make a move. So, understanding your tendencies, getting really familiar with your team, no matter what it is, I think it's super underrated. I mean, people are always like, oh, like, well, let me try this, or let me like pull this in, or I'm not doing well with this, I'm going to shelf it and do that. I don't think that's a bad thing, but I would be be a master of one, not a jack of all trades. And it just takes a lot of reps when you play against a lot of different types of teams, and you have something and you're like, okay, I understand what my team is, what my cards are. And if you have a pretty good standard team, I mean, you see, plant, like a solid plant tank, double aqua with no zero cost on the back. You see that all the way up to 1900, 2000 MMR. And like, that's, if you're good, you can get up there or higher. For sure. I would fully subscribe to that and commit to that. And that's the team that I'm going to be giving to my scholars. Not that I'm expecting them to get all the way up there, but if you master something like that, I think that you can, get really high. And just committing to knowing your team and its counters and what your biases are when you're in certain situations, I think goes a really, really long way. So
let's talk. Yeah, so that's a good segue into the kind of the next big topic, and we'll keep going here a little over time, because I think it's really interesting. So, you've got your theory crafting for yourself and building, your teams, but you also are breeding and building scholar teams, which,
yes,
that brings the extra challenge of, you're not looking to put together an exotic one-off that you scrape out from the marketplace. Now you need to put together a team that can get your scholars up into that, 16, 1800 MMR if they're decent players. But you need to be able to also breed that at an economical rate. So talk about how you're gonna, how you think about those teams and putting those together to kind of meet both those goals.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
maybe a couple teams that you really like for for scholar builds.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I went with, my scholars are all pretty much going to have. I might give some plant beast bird, and I might be also running some with a couple of reptiles, because I just have a lot of reptiles kicking around. But for the core base of what I bred out for my team, it was a pretty standard plant double aqua team. This is going to sound repetitive to what I'm sure a lot of people have heard, but there is a reason why this works and people are doing it. I've seen people, and I'm sure plenty of people have seen just a triple aqua team of just like that standard, like Nemo, shoal, risky, missing one card, goldfish, like kind of combo, like three of those, like go all the way to, deep MMRs. And they're just powerful.
So a triple Nemo team?
Yeah, like a triple Nemo. I think people have seen that. And there's a reason why people, I think eventually the Sky Mavis team is going to figure out some way to nerf that, because I think it's a little ridiculous that like one exact Axie could, wreak that much havoc. But just speaking about the plant double aqua from like a good build standpoint, I looked for, when I was breeding anything, everything that I did was focus on advantageous recessives. So I've said this in my videos when I talk about breeding, it's always looking for, if something did go wrong, would I be okay with it / would I be excited about it? And yeah, I looked for that on a couple of them. One was definitely having good bugger beast damage in your R1s or R2s. So I bred out a couple that ended up with pliers again, because I've had so much success with it and I really like it. So I actively looked for that. So you look for, everyone's kind of like, okay, I want cactus, pumpkin, carrot, Sirius, or cactus, pumpkin, hot butt, Sirius, whatever. I definitely wanted hot butt on my plants, but I looked for a few with pumpkin or turnip backs. I think turnip's another really good plant card that doesn't get talked about as much. You have the ability to kind of pick off some birds, which I think is going to really help some of the scholars at the lower MMRs when you're facing a lot more bird teams, that 3-card combo is really helpful. If you've got to turn up and hot button, one more damage move, and you're basically going to take out any bird. So I looked for that with, like I said, looking for pliers, looked for little branch, look for dual blade, look for all that stuff. Anything that's, high damage, bugger beast damage, was what I did. So when I'm thinking about breeding, that was it. And I successfully did that actually on a couple of my backliners. I basically was breeding your standard koi backliners, where you have, koi, goldfish, lamb. Lamb is ideal for the mouth, but was relatively indifferent between lamb and piranha on the back. But the one place that I looked for on those cards were actually beast damage on my horn there, because Aranda obviously would be the best all Aqua card, but I looked for a couple of dual blades and actually bred a couple of those out, where I've got dual blade on the horn. So I have no 0 cost, but I've got some huge beast damage, which is actually very helpful early game and, against a plant tank. And also having a bug or beast part on that backliner really isn't that big a deal if you only have one, because having koi and goldfish on that backliner is great because you got 2 different ways to speed up. And if you, time that correctly and you get attacked into basically more times than you attack another koi goldfish combo, you're going to end up going faster the next round anyway. So that offset was something that I really really focused on, and ended up breeding out. So like that was a thought behind, all right, I'm going to breed out koi backliners for my scholars, but I looked for things that if an R1 or R2 came through, I wouldn't be mad about, and ended up getting it. So I'm going to test it. I've tested it out. I like it. And hopefully a couple of the scholars like them too.
That's awesome. That sounds great.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, any last things that anything arena wise that you want to share with everybody, and then if after that I'll give just some final words and some instructions on what we're going to do with the Q&A. So yeah, what would you like to leave everybody with?
I would say it's getting harder. I would say that it is everything is getting harder. This game is becoming more competitive. More people are getting into it. And if you're here and you're learning about it now, you're still ahead of what I think are a ton more people coming behind you. I think it's a great strategy game, and I would focus on one thing and get really, really good at it. If I had one takeaway for people. Obviously, if you have a massively inferior build, that's one thing. But if you are listening to me or anyone else out there about, hey, this is a good standard build that should take you a decent distance, become a master of that. Understand what you currently have, and I think you will go a lot farther than, oh, I really need to go get a Indian Star Reptile. Like I thought that's what I needed, and I played with it for a little while and I enjoyed it, but I don't think I'm necessarily a better player after doing that. I'm much better at, hey, I understand how my team works together, and I've played with them enough to understand the card draws, the way it works together, the way it plays against other teams. I think that is more valuable, should improve your win rate and your SLP gain more than the what ifs. Like, well, what if I had this, or what if I had that? I would become a master of what you have, assuming it's somewhat decent. and there's plenty of people in the community, including me, including people in, ECB that EBC that are, willing to, look at this stuff and tell you where it's at, whether or not it's capable of taking you far. So that's my big one is
Yeah. So I think that, yeah, so I think that's great. Just buying something that's shiny and new because it's the hot thing. If you don't have the skill set to, to pilot that, it's not gonna get you where you want to go. Take your team, learn it to the absolute best that you can, go as far as you can, and then start looking to, to maybe mix in some more exotic things into your teams.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense. So appreciate it. So before everyone hops off, a couple of things. If you look in the chat, this seminar was hosted by the Elite Breeders Club. You can check out more about our club. It's a place where we've got a ton of free content, tools, etc. We also have a private club that's part of that will take you to the next level if you want to join us there. You can get details about that on our website. It's elitebreeders.club. Again, you can see it in the chat. You can also go right to the Discord. I've dropped that link in the chat as well. Again, there's no cost to access a ton of stuff there. If you do want to become a member, we've got some great people in the Discord with a lot of high-level knowledge. We've got some great pricing tools. We've got some pricing bots if you're into flipping that will help you out. Some other different types of materials. So it's something I think people can get a lot of value out of, and we're building a nice community over there. For anybody that is currently a member, we're going to jump over into the Discord, and you can meet us in just a couple of minutes in the EBC private lounge, and Wade will be there, and we'll do some Q&A and can get into some specifics. Also, please go subscribe to Wade's channel. Wade, give us the details on Axie Oasis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's just, I should know my links like right off the bat, but well,
search up Axie Oasis. I'll help you out. Search up Axie Oasis on YouTube.
Yeah, I think I've got enough traction now that if you actually just search Axie Oasis, I show up,
I can confirm that it will show up. Wade's actually got tremendous traction. He as he said, he hasn't been at it a long time, but his content is good quality, so the algorithm likes him. People are watching, and you should as well. You can also find Wade in the EBC Discord. He hangs out there and loves to answer questions along with lots of other cool people. So last thing I will leave you with is this seminar will be available in video with audio, both on the EBC Discord. I think Wade is also going to upload this to his YouTube channel as well, so you can check it out there. Tell your friends, tell your family. We would love to have you be part of our family, and we do this at least once a week. We've been actually doing a little better than that, kind of a couple times a week. But just watch our Discord for for upcoming seminars. We've got some really cool stuff coming up. In the past, we did technical analysis on SLP and AXS. We'll be doing some stuff on how to be a good scholar manager. Lots of cool stuff. So check us out, and thanks everybody for spending a little time with us on your Saturday evening or Sunday morning, whichever it may be, depending on where you are in the world. And we'll see you in the arena.